Gaurav had multiple internship offer, multiple job offer. He also claims that there's no recession in cybersecurity, which I think now I spoke to a few other cybersecurity engineers and everyone agreed.
Companies charge big bucks for this, and this is a very, very highly paid domain in cybersecurity.
Do you have tools and skills you would recommend? Like, okay, here are the tools that you should learn for these. Here are the websites. Here are the certification.
Which shows not just how many cybersecurity engineers you need, but also the map and the salary range.
What is the typical interview process for cybersecurity engineers?
If you are trying to switch your career path from software development, this is the best positions to target for. That's why most of the cybersecurity degrees in the US actually have a law element to it.
But I've heard that there are cybersecurity, if you have 8 years of experience, you can make 500K above, and that to base. And I was like, what? Before we dive into all the strategies and stories that we're going to discuss in this podcast, let me ask you this. Do you have a clear job hunting strategy to get an internship or a full-time job? Most people don't, and it's costing them opportunities. I've helped over 1,100 students with their strategies through my ultimate job hunting course.
And trust me, I'm not even kidding. I could see so many recruiters viewing my profile.
And it's been the best investment I've ever made.
The content is incredibly practical, filled with tips and strategies that make you stand out to recruiters.
It was one of the best courses that I have done till date.
This course covers everything that you need to stand out. You will get ultimate resume course, you will get ultimate LinkedIn course, networking strategy, access to 1,100 plus job seekers for support, and personal support from me through WhatsApp group. I will walk you through every single step that you need with real examples and the tools that will give you an edge. I don't want you to miss any other opportunity to land your next job or an internship. So check the link in the description. And now I will let you enjoy the podcast. All right. I am excited. Round two. This time, because I know last time we talked about job hunting and how to find a job in cybersecurity, you also kind of started talking. I'm pretty sure people reached out to you thinking like cybersecurity is a recession-proof industry. So now let's make a masterclass on cybersecurity and the careers in cybersecurity and skills and all of that. But before any of that, people who might have not watched our first video, maybe let's do a quick intro. Where are you from? What do you do right now? And what did you do in United States?
Awesome. Again, happy to be here. Thank you for having me for episode 2. Many more to come, I believe.
Yes.
But yeah, so a brief introduction about myself. My name is Gaurav Saraf. I am from Bangalore, India. I did my master's in cybersecurity from Syracuse University and did my bachelor's from India, Bangalore again in computer science. And I'm currently working as a software security engineer at Lumen Technologies.
Nice.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. And again, just for people, and if they don't have context and they haven't watched the first video, Gaurav had multiple internship offer, multiple job offer. He also claims that there's no recession in cybersecurity, which I think now I spoke to few other cybersecurity engineers and everyone agreed. So I now I'm starting to believe this, and I'm excited to deep dive. Think of me as someone who does not know a lot. I know that this will exist. I know that there is a job, but there are a lot of myths in my hand. My head. So I'm gonna like pretend like that, and also my knowledge is very limited. So hopefully, some of my college questions might sound like very naive, like Yudi, ye kyun puch raha hai? So
Completely fine.
yeah. Okay, so can we define what are the different, like, cybersecurity is huge and there are so many. There's red team, blue team, purple team, and then there is like infosec, then there is compliance, risk, audit, and there's a product security. There are so many different roles. It's hard to keep track of. So what are the different areas, and how can someone like know which, like, what is in what field?
So yeah, you're right. It is actually a huge domain. Like, how software engineering is just huge and can be applied for absolutely anything. So I would say cybersecurity is very similar to that. And it is a huge domain and it's always evolving. As new technologies come in, you have more security issues and you have like security teams jumping in to solve those issues, right? So if you see the job postings on the internet, it is actually quite complicated to really figure out what you want to do and where you might be actually good at. But I came up with like this strategy, or came up with this list where I defined the cybersecurity into like five different like subdomains.
Mm.
So I use this personally to nag down whatever departments and whatever roles I wanted to work on. And this is the one which you're seeing on the TV, on the screen right now.
Yeah.
Is these are the different departments. Then the first is the usual, of course, the attacked, and then you have the team which is protecting. Then you have another team which is doing all the research and investigation. And then, of course, there's engineering and development, because again, it's all computer focused and development focused. And then then you have like leadership and governance and all of that stuff. So
Mm.
each of these domains themselves have multiple different like subdomains or job categories, I would say. And you guys can see on the screen. So if you follow this, you are able to really tell what you really want to do and which sector that falls into. And there's like resources and like tools and tips for each of these different categories. Or let's just say that like certifications or education paths, like different, all of these different categories. And that really helps to, uh, identify and really analyze what's going on. Of
Mm.
course, there's a lot of overlap between each of these different departments. That's cybersecurity in general, actually. So your job description might say something else, the title might be completely different, and you might be doing something very different. So yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. And so, what are you doing? Where do you fall?
So I fall into the research and development side of things, but
Okay.
also a little bit of security engineering and development within threat hunting. So I am developing software, I'm developing tools, I'm developing like uh, everything related to threat hunting, and doing everything relating that inside the threat hunting scope.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, and so I know, so the guy, like I was talking to, he works for Intel, and he said he's a security engineer. And then this
Mhm.
is something I heard, I don't know, correct me, that most people start in governance because it's most or easiest to get into. Is this true? Like audit and governance.
If you're someone who's not technical, yes, it is.
Mm.
So interestingly enough, most of the people starting off in cybersecurity, you would assume that they are from the technology scope, but they're not. They are finance people. They are these analysts, and these are like these people who really understand finance. So most of the people you would see like who are not in technology are probably from the finance background, because
Mm.
they are so good at understanding all the financial forensics of how money laundering and all of the that other financial stuff happens, and how that relates to cybersecurity.
Mm.
So if you take it in that angle, yes, that most of the people start from governance and being like a leader and all of that stuff. But yes, being an engineer, I would be more inclined towards the more technical side of things.
Right. So if someone who hates coding but loves security, governance, risk audit is probably because
That's right.
the way I understood is like you just have to know the policies, you have to create the policies and implement the policies and monitor the policies. And policies mean like are you have to change password every 3 months, and are you changing it,
Mhm.
and do you have log for it, and things like that. I mean, that is a very simple example, but yeah.
Yes. So, like you mentioned already, there's a lot of audit, there's a lot of compliance which these governments want nowadays. So there are whole different like departments, not just like teams, like whole departments dedicated to just doing compliance and just being able to do all the reporting properly, and being like just being able to solve all the questions coming up regarding cybersecurity in a company.
Hmm.
So all of that
Okay.
comes under the governance.
Got it. Okay. And so, is this for product? Sometimes it's very helpful for product managers to know the domain. For example, if you are in healthcare, if you have prior healthcare experience, it's very helpful, and there's a much higher chances for you to get into. Is that true for cybersecurity, or you guys don't care? Like you guys are agnostic of what domain it is?
So it's both yes and no. So it's some skills are some these skills which are very hard skills and which you can transfer between any domain, right? So there are skills like that, but there are also advantages of being in a specific domain. So
Mm.
say for example, if you're working in like pharmaceutical industry, you would have a know-how of what are the specific or the most important points or important infrastructure elements, excuse me, to protect in a pharmaceutical industry or pharmaceutical company. But say for example, if you're working in an automobile company, your understanding of security for an automobile company or the product itself might be completely different, right? So
Mm.
say for example, you're building security services or security stack for a car, and the security stack for like a robot in the pharmaceutical industry, that's going to be completely different.
Hey, before we move on to the next part of the video, I want to quickly talk about our newsletter community, which you can be part of absolutely free. We are now going strong and we have more than 40,000 people in our newsletter community. So imagine 40,000 people are receiving my newsletter every single week, twice a week, where I break down all of the stories that we did and make it a valuable resource for you. So if you're someone who doesn't have time to watch this and you just want to get an email with all of the resources into an email, that is the place to be. I'll put the link in the description. I'll give you some example. This is the one for Tanvi, where how she got 2 co-ops and she paid off her entire master's fees. This is an example of Maya, where she got 3 co-ops and she paid off her fees plus a little bit of savings. Here is an example of Sahil, who got his green card in 3 years. Here is an example where we shared bunch of resources on job hunting. So I promise this is going to be valuable resource for you, and it doesn't cost you anything. If you want to be part of our newsletter community, link will be in the description, or you can go to link.udj.com/newsletter. This is the URL. And now I'll let you enjoy the video. Can we go back to that list and then talk about what, like, each list does high level wise, and then we can go like we can go into your specific domain.
For sure. Attack is, of course, the fancy side of cybersecurity. These are the penetration testers penetrating into the applications doing like application penetration testing, web penetration testing, cloud, ICS, and network and all of that stuff. What is ICS? ICS is industrial communication systems. These are the systems which are used to host or run the major like electricity services, the nuclear power plant, and all of that stuff. So that's actually on the side note. That's a very important scope for cybersecurity. But these guys are the people who are attacking. They are called the red teamers. All of the like exploit development happens within this. The red team is here. The penetration testing happens here, and then there is social engineering as well, which is extremely like in the market right now. But
Hmm.
yeah, so that's all about attack. And
So walk me through this. I am building my company's loan. We give loans for people who wants to get car, right? So we have an digital application on website. So where would the red team will fit? Like, what would they do?
So it depends what you actually want to focus on. Depending on the size of the website, it might be something as simple as you hosting the website on a website web hosting service like GoDaddy or something. And say if you're not that basic and you have your own network and if you have your own stack, so
Yeah.
you'd want to not just penetrate the website, but also the databases, the network associated with it, and then you have all the security associated to the communication between all of that. Then you have like security between the microservices. Then you also have security between like between your team, like how's the communication between your team and happening with the web server. So that would
Mm.
be corporate security, but you would also want to protect that. And then it really depends on which stack or which level of the stack you want to focus on. And penetration testing does all of that. So
Okay.
you can go as far as like just the web server to down to the employees' computers.
Got it. Okay. And so this person, if we were to have, I don't think we have one, but if we were to have one, I mean, we do have DevOps person. He does a lot of this, but like it's not a cyber security engineer.
Mhm.
So if we were to have this, their day would be like, okay, today I'm gonna, like, they would have a roadmap and they would have a backlog of items, like I have to attack firewall and I have to attack
Hmm.
this thing. And that's all they do all day long.
Yes, that's all they do. It's the fun part of cybersecurity. Like I said, you're just paid to break into things,
Nice.
and you're
Okay.
not legally responsible for that. So that's great.
Oh wow. Okay. But do they do on the prod, or do they do on a staging environment?
It really depends. It depends on the contract you sign with the company. Say, for example, I'm an independent penetration tester. I would have like a contract, and in that contract, you would very specifically mention that you're going to focus only on the staging, and you would focus completely on the prod, and
Hmm.
you would focus nothing to do with prod and staging. You would focus completely just on firewall. So
Got
you
it.
have the
Okay.
scope very, very well defined, and you want to work within the scope to
Got it.
be not
Okay.
legally responsible.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, makes sense. All right. Moving on to the blue team or purple team. Now they don't like to call blue team, so purple team it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, so this is the team protecting all the precious infrastructure you guys have.
Mm,
So this team is usually working in-house and it's not like an external third-party person. And
mm,
it does everything relating to protecting your services. This might be people who are defending your services, people who are like testing your services to make sure they cannot be hacked. This can be even like SOC and NOC. SOC is basically Security Operation Center, and NOC is Network Operation Center. Then you have like intrusion detection, firewall teams, all of that, the whole stack like EDR, MDR, all of that comes under the protect aspect. And again, you'll see a lot of there'll be like a lot of development roles within it, but that's a different conversation we can have later. But another very two important points which are there in the protect aspect, which people ignore and is like a growing domain within cybersecurity, is defense responder and like negotiator, right? So defense responder are people who are bought, who are third party contractors who are bought into the company to protect the company during an ongoing attack, right? And then
mm,
you have negotiator, people who are negotiating with the malicious actors to either reduce the ransomware or ransom, or to reduce the impact for the whole attack.
Interesting. Now I am like trying to make sense of all the movies where, of course, it's on the FBI level and they have negotiator,
Yeah.
but there's also they bring this guy who's trying to figure out like, okay, our network is hacked. I'm trying to figure out what they want, and there's a cryptic messages going on. So
Yes.
that is what this person is doing.
Yes. And
Oh.
companies charge big bucks for this, and this is a very, very highly paid domain in cybersecurity.
Mm. And so the first two, sorry, I keep going back and forth.
Mhm.
They both require programming skills.
Yes and no. So, say for example, you're a script kiddie, you're someone who just uses the tools and gets it done. Then you would probably not have you would not need coding skills. But if you really want to be a good security engineer, you would know how to code. Like one of my professors, very like unanimously everyone accepts it that if you don't know how to code, you're not a security engineer.
Nice. Okay. Don't worry. We are coming to non-coding part as well, so don't worry.
We will.
Okay. All right. Cool. So uh, this is where you are in. So research, and also like what do you have? Sorry. Back to these two. Do you have tools and skills you would recommend? Like, okay, here are the tools that you should learn for these, here are the websites, here are the certification for any of this.
Yeah, there's a huge list actually, but for attack, you would be mostly focusing on penetration testing frameworks like Cobalt Strike and Metasploit, and those are just the frameworks. But there are many other tools specifically designed for attacking systems, and these tools can change a lot based on what you're trying to attack. So
Mm.
these tools can be as simple as just Python scripts or Bash scripts which you write on your own, or you find it on the internet, but you should not run you find any code which you find on the internet. Please do not do that. What I mean to say is vet the code, and you would find these simple scripts online which you can run and get your job done. Even they are called tools. And then on the other hand, you would have like full-fledged softwares like say, like I said, Metasploit and all of those major frameworks and tools for your whole testing process. And so there are specific operating systems for attacking systems, and there are specific, very specific tools, and these tools can be like both hardware as well as software based. This is one hardware tool which it's quite popular, and
Nice.
so depending on the situation, you deploy different tools. But in terms of protecting is actually a little bit more overlapping with the software people, where you're writing again tools like just writing tools to just protect yourself from the ongoing attack. It can be as simple as just blocking a firewall, a script for that, or it can be as advanced as like like a SIM or source solution, or it can be like a network manager, or it can be something like a threat intelligence platform. Everything can be used to protect yourself from the attack coming in. So
I'm assuming
it
Wireshark
depends.
as well. Like Wireshark obviously is a
Yes,
very basic one, but monitoring
yes.
the traffic.
Yes. So
Mm.
tools like Wireshark, and then you have tools like SOAR platforms, and you have like Elk Stack for all the monitoring which is happening at an enterprise grade. So there's a huge stack of tools which you can deploy for each of these different domains.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned that you have a list and things that you can send it, so we can put it in the description so people can download it.
Yes.
Nice. Okay, cool. Let's move on to research and investigation. Investigate. So, like, yeah, what do you do?
Right. So research and investigation is all about researching your threat or researching your adversary, right? And not just researching them, but investigating if something has happened already. So if you the only reason why this team exists is to basically gain as much knowledge as possible to of your opponent, so you're able to better protect yourself.
Hmm.
So these guys can be anywhere from like forensic, which can be digital or financial forensic experts. This can be about malware research. This can be about incident response, OSINT, like open source intelligence, and then you do like threat hunting, and then there's also vulnerability assessment and management. So this whole stack is, I would put under research and investigation, because you can really go into each of these different domains and learn so much about the attack which has already happened, or learn from other environments to protect yourself. So to coming back to your question about what I am doing, so I work at Black Lotus Labs, which is a threat intelligence platform under Lumen Technologies. And what Black Lotus Lab does is they are taking all the threat intelligence all around the internet with their own sensors, with their own equipment, with their own network, as well as threat intelligence or intel from all the other companies on the internet, which either operate their own services or are they running on our network. And we aggregate all of that and provide that into like a single stream of data, so companies can use the data and block their networks from malicious actors.
Mm. So interesting. Now, like it's all making sense. Like when people keep saying threat intelligence, I'm like, I have no idea what that means. But it's like now, okay, uh, got it. Okay, and so this is where you are in, and like this one does seem like you require programming knowledge.
It does. This does need programming knowledge. I wouldn't say all of it is programming, but I would say like good chunk of it, almost 70% is programming.
Okay. Next one, I think I know this because my engineers do this a lot. We don't have a security engineer, but I know. I wish we did. Now I'm gonna send this to my boss, and I was like, "Hey, we should hire some."
Yeah,
uh,
like
huh.
there's a very famous quote. There are companies which who know have been intruded, and there are companies which don't know they have been intruded. So it depends
Oh.
which side of the bucket do you want to be at.
Oh wow, that's scary. Okay, so this one, so now again for context, if I was developing an app to buy a car loan, and my engineers who are developing this, they would be already taking care of like no one can do SQL injection or phishing, whatever, like all those things they will take care of it. And after this, in a like an ideal world, it would go to security engineer to make sure that it is it is secure enough. Is that correct understanding, or is there something more steps in between?
Well, that's the legacy approach to dealing with security.
Okay.
So, so this was the problem why these all the systems on the internet right now and all the legacy software is so vulnerable, because security is always an afterthought. Like you mentioned, you thought about security after developing the tool. So that's not how it is. At least that's not how it should be right now. So
Okay.
what companies want to do is they want to include security aspect and security engineering and security architecture even before the development actually begins. And if
Mm.
it's already taken care of, or if it's not taken care of in the architecture stage, during the development stage, you would definitely want to take care of security. So you'll see most of the companies nowadays don't just have security after the product is developed, but they also give training to the developers to on what are the best practices and the safe procedures to implementing their code, which makes the software or tool, whatever they're building, much more secure right out of the box.
So again, sorry, I'm like imagining this scenario where it is a proactive company who does, like Intel, Nvidia, and all these fancy
Hmm.
companies, right? Uh, as a product manager, I don't know like what we need to secure. Like I have no idea. So, I, am I? There's a meeting going on. We are doing a refinement on a user story. I I am assuming there is going to be someone from security team attending this call when we are thinking about product, and they will have their own backlog to, and then there is gonna be a program manager who's gonna manage to make sure
Hmm.
that security team has what they need, and then they are talking to engineers to so that it's all aligned. Is that like, am I picturing this right?
You're right. You're in the right direction. I must say
Okay.
that.
Okay.
So, uh, what's going to happen is either every team would have a security engineer, or you would have like another department designed to do just security stuff. So
Hmm.
either someone from that team is always there in the architecture and all the discussions of your user stories and everything, and in that in the process, the security engineer is able to like pitch in and given their experiences and given their pointers while you're actually building the software, building the tool or whatnot, right? And they will suggest changes to how the architecture needs to change, how you're importing libraries, how are you actually storing like buffer or temporary data, all of that stuff. So there
Hmm.
can be, like I said, security is not just at your application level, but also the whole
Ah,
stack.
correct.
So
Yeah, yeah.
you would be solving security at the libraries, the at the kernel level, and everything above that, right? So you'd assume that in you would be in under an assumption that certain stack is already taken care of because of the best practices in your company. But what you need to really pitch into is the software side of things and the architecture side of
Mm.
things.
Yeah, so almost just like DevOps, right? Like before it was always an afterthought. Like, pehle,
Hmm.
like let's just code and then we'll figure out how to deploy it
Yeah,
and how to test it. Now we have DevOps engineer who actually have figured it out. Like, okay, this is how we're gonna develop. This is the pipeline. This is how it's gonna release. This is you push this button, and like configured everything. So same with security is what I'm assuming.
that's correct. And
Interesting.
even DevOps has like a subdivision now called DevSecOps, which does security just for the DevOps side of things, which is again like a whole different department or a domain which you can build on your own.
And now I think now I understand why people are saying that the cybersecurity is recession proof, because there is just so much to do and there are not enough people to do it, and which is what we
Yes.
said in the first video as well. And because there is so many areas to do, uh, that
So
is
there's a very interesting website by the National Initiative of Cybersecurity Career Studies, which shows not just how many cybersecurity engineers you need, but also the
wait,
map and the salary range.
can you say it? Cyber National.
It is NICCS.
NICCS. Okay, one second. I'm gonna share my screen one more time. Okay. So,
So they have this tool or whole map which you can. Hmm. Yeah, if you can just on the second column, the first one. Yeah,
oh,
this
gotcha.
gives you all the jobs available and the salary ranges and everything.
Nice. Okay. Is the blank one meaning like there is no
There
uh
are less jobs. No, there's nothing like no jobs in cybersecurity. It's
oh,
lesser compared
I
to the
was gonna
others.
say no talent, but because they are middle
Okay.
stage, kind of. But okay, obviously big cities have, but big cities have. Uh, what is this one? Oh, Arkansas. Okay, got it. Interesting. This is so fascinating. Nice. Did you use this for your job hunting?
I did use this for my job hunting. This actually lists down most of the jobs which is recognized by the US government's initiative of cybersecurity careers and studies.
But it's not that you have to be citizen to apply
Oh
to
no,
yeah.
you'll see a lot of like citizen jobs and you'll see a lot of government jobs, but you'll also see a lot of companies jobs posted on this website.
Okay. Nice. This is a good resource. This is anyway. Let's go. I'm like so fascinated by this field now. uh, and I'm assuming back to engineering and development. This obviously needs a lot of like cryptography. Obviously need a lot of math and then programming. And this position cannot be done if you do not know programming. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's that. And I would say if you're trying to switch your career path from software development, this is the best positions to target for because most likely. So in general, whatever job interviews I've done, whatever internship interviews I've done, all of them have just mentioned very clearly that cybersecurity is nothing but a software engineer who has a little bit of interest in security. So
Mm.
to put it as simple as that, if you're a software engineer and you want to make a switch into cybersecurity, learn the basics in cybersecurity and probably target one of these jobs, these roles, and you'll probably get the job.
Nice. Okay, love it. And what about the like? Are there books and like how for engineerings and we have cracking the coding algorithm and all of this? Are there specific for cybersecurity? Are there like we have lead code? Is there anything like that for cybersecurity? I think there's a capture the flag kind of website.
Yes. Capture the flag, but it mostly focuses on the penetration testing side of things.
Mm.
But for security engineering, I think there's a book for cracking the security engineering book, whatever you said. I think there's a book for security engineering as well. But most of the people, whoever are making a switch from software to security, what they're doing is basically they are taking on the they're focusing on the roles which they already have experience with, and they're learning the security aspects of that specific job role.
Mm.
That gives you a very good way to swiggle your way in through like to a security position.
Okay, got it. Final one, the final bucket is it looks like it's the legal and compliance, and that one is probably the non-programming career
Yes.
in cybersecurity. And what does their day look like? What do they do when they say audit? I know I had to go through the SOC 2 audit because I was the engineering
Hmm.
manager, and we had a KPMG and they came and they did the SOC 2 audit, and I was just so done with them because they are like, give me this screenshot, give me this screenshot, and I was like, bhai, le, bhai, jo chahiye le. I was just done with it. So I know that is part of it, but like, what do they do?
Yeah, I can imagine it can be completely frustrating. I think that was one of the reasons why I did not join Deloitte for my internship because they have such a bad repo around them. Anyways, so here the people are mostly like leadership, and there's like I said, there's a whole department focusing just on compliance and the regulations set up by the various governments and different these certifications and everything. So their rules and their day-to-day work is mostly regarding keeping up to the norms, then keeping up all the compliances, all the documentation which goes around it. If they might have to like jump into like development calls with the development teams to help them understand and help them solve these compliance requirements. Most of the compliance requirements are need a lot of logging and need a lot of like stashing, and maybe like they might have like a lot of requirements in terms of how they can store the data, where they can store the data, and all of that stuff. So it's always helping the other team do the legal side of things, right? So these
Mm.
guys are the people who understand the security aspect, but who are more specialized towards, I would say, the legal requirements to a specific certification or the government norm. So, like you said, SOC 2 or PCI DSS, so or ISO certified. So
Yeah.
these guys would have
HIPAA.
the know-how of what are the requirements,
Yeah.
and these guys will get it done.
Yeah. There was another one, HIPAA, which was for health.
HIPAA, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
health.
It sounds like a lot of big four, they do like we outsource this.
Yes.
There are companies who outsource a lot of the compliance to big fours because we don't want to have an internal team who just does compliance work. Is that like very common?
So yes, it is actually very common. I think Deloitte is the biggest name in cybersecurity consulting, and why they outsource it to a company is actually twofold. First is, of course, it's really expensive to hire such specialized folks doing compliance and all of that for cybersecurity, and many of the times it's actually better to give it to a third party company, is because they'll probably be doing the external audit for the company. So if they are doing the external audit, half the work is already done. I'm sure they'll
Right.
be doing it over
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
this is a
Right.
bigger
So there's
requirement.
two sides of audit. One is an internal audit because
Internal
we
audit.
want to make sure we are compliant so that if ever an external audit happens, like we are good because someone has already done that job for us. So
Yes.
Deloitte does both, and all the big four does both, internal and external. And I think this was another thing that I heard was because you have Deloitte stamp, then it's like
Mhm.
like you get customers much easier that we are compliant and trusted by Deloitte security, something like that. It was, yeah.
Yes. So I was interviewing with a company which does data transfer or data movement between like cloud services and between software services, and they focus completely just on pharmacy or healthcare data. So turns out that this is such a big one up against the other companies that just because they were certified and they were audited by KPMG, they were able to get, I think, a $3 billion order from some big
Wow.
hospital chain or insurance chain.
Hmm.
So this is extremely important domain.
And so skills for this one is really policies. Like you have to understand different policies, able to write a policy. Like I think it's really understanding the frameworks of cybersecurity is what I'm getting at.
That's correct. You'll see that's why most of the cybersecurity degrees in the US actually have a law element to it. They will either have a subject or they will have like a whole, mini project or a mini diploma kind of a thing for law. Because now that we have like GDPR and all the different data protection laws all around the world, it becomes even more important to know all of this. And you're right. So all the framework and all the laws and everything, it comes under these guys, and you need to know all of that.
But but you don't remember all of this, right? Like you can,
Of course,
yeah. So,
you don't remember all of them, but you have most of these government organizations and most of these certifications actually have like a checklist which you can
mm,
go through to certify yourself against whatever certification, right?
mm.
So for SOC you would have like a separate checklist, for ISO you would have separate checklist. Of course, I'm making it much easier than what it is. It's not as easy as
Yeah,
just
yeah,
following
yeah.
a
I
checklist, but
know that there was a master spreadsheet, and that master spreadsheet had like thousands of tabs,
yeah.
and it had links to Drive to upload my photos. Oh my! So yeah, it's not like that easy, but yeah, I get it. Almost like I mean, not almost, but it's similar. Some simpler way to explain, like tax
Yep.
CPAs and tax
Hmm.
audits. Like they understand the tax code really well, so
Yes.
they don't know the entire, but sometimes they can look and read into the tax law and say, okay, you can. There's a loophole here. We can use it. That's what I think of tax CPAs.
Yeah.
They just
That's a good way to simplify it.
yeah. Okay, cool. So now we covered like five different career options, five different umbrellas, and then each of them has multiple paths to it. What are some of the certifications people do? Like I know CCNA and Cisco and all of these, like
Hmm.
there's also cloud like AWS security and GCP security. So what are these certification, where and are they actually helpful? Like should people do it?
Okay, so this is actually quite controversial in the cybersecurity space. Some say you need certifications, some say you don't need certifications, but I'm somewhere in the middle. I would say neutral. So think in terms of like a recruiter. So if you want to show the recruiter that you actually know what you know, especially for the HR folks, how do you do that? The
Mm,
only way you would do that is to have like a certification, because they do not understand the technical jargon, and you will not be able to get through that first line if you do not have the certification. But for many would argue that, if you're like experienced, you don't need it because you already have done the job and you can already show that. But that's only for the experienced folks.
mm,
How does someone who does not have experience prove it? The only way to do that is through certifications or a degree. And
mm,
people are completely against cybersecurity masters or cybersecurity degrees. I completely understand that they are nothing but a computer science degree. But yeah, so more than degrees, I would say certifications matter, and certifications do hold a value just to clear that first round, even more
mm.
than ever, right?
What
Because it
what
is
are
so
some
difficult.
of what are some of the different certifications?
Yeah, so at the entry level, you would have something like CH, CCNA, like you mentioned, Security Plus, Network Plus. All of these certifications, they don't go in depth into anything, but they cover the whole cybersecurity domain laterally. So they give you a little bit of an idea for the whole scope. You would be doing like IoT security, you'll be doing like a little bit of law, you'll be doing a lot of like cloud security, you'll be doing like a lot of system security, everything. So the
Mm,
entry level certification definitely is going to be like CCNA, which is completely focusing on networking, not a lot of security there. But CEH has like a security aspect, it's completely security focused. And then you have like something called CISA Plus, and then you have Security Plus. All of these are very entry level certifications within cybersecurity. But again, within like the specific domains, there are many cybersecurity specialization certificates. Like you must know, we have like containerization, that's CKA and CKS. Then you have like the cloud providers have their own security certifications. Then you would have like different security certifications for
is there
IoT.
one
You would
you
have
would
different ones.
from cloud providers? Is there one you feel like most companies are AWS, or most companies are Azure, or most companies are
Yeah.
GCP?
So that's again, I don't want to be the odd one out saying this, but but I don't think a lot of companies are looking for GCP experts anymore. But because most of the security architecture of AWS and Azure is much more refined than GCP.
Mm,
So I would say if you want to do security, focus on Azure and AWS, but not so much in GCP. And
yeah,
they have their own security specializations which you can focus on.
yeah. Yeah. Now, like, if Google is watching this, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, that's what I've heard too. We have all three for some reason, and I think we are moving towards AWS as well because some of the reasons you mentioned.
Mhm.
Okay, so those are some certification. Um, you mentioned all of these skills that are required for all these different domains in product management. If I want to practice my product management skills, the easiest ways is to build a product or be a part of a team where you are a product owner or a product manager, or you do case studies. Same with engineers, they can build a project and host it online. They are able to actually build the skills that way. How do people in cybersecurity build the skills or learn the skills?
So again, the answer is not that easy in cybersecurity. It's never easy. But what I use in my own development is the chart which we were discussing earlier. So based on the different categories of cybersecurity, I did or I researched certain projects which would help me in that certain, for job roles in that category. So let's just say you're not focusing just on job role and you want to discuss in general. So, say for example, you want to do like just start off in security. You start off in security by learning networking and by learning the basics of security. But then, if you want to just focus on penetration testing, you would do the CTFs. There are many websites for CTFs. Try Hack Me, Hack the Box, Google CTF, Pico CTF. So these are the different tools,
अच्छा,
websites
मतलब
which you
there
can
are
use.
so you pick the path and then you go for different
Yes.
tools. Okay,
So
got it.
it's the easiest for penetration testing and red blue teaming, but it's not so easy for the security development. But there are
Mm.
certain projects which you can develop for each of these different domains to show that you are well versed in that specific domain.
Mm, got it. Eh, Are there any specific companies that you think like these people focus heavily on security and like I mean you know how software engineers in the past like now no more anymore has like Mang or Fang
Hmm.
dream like people wanted to really work for them. Does cybersecurity engineers have Fang Mang type of companies that I wish to work for? CloudStrike or CrowdStrike or something like that, BlackRock, I don't know.
Yeah, you would want to be working. The goal in cybersecurity, I would say, from whatever I've experienced, is to be a standalone researcher, to be good at what you are doing and so good at whatever you have learned that you have like a brand for yourself. I think
Mm.
that's the goal in cybersecurity more than joining a company. But so there, it really depends and what are your aspirations. So if you want to work on a complete cybersecurity company and complete cybersecurity focus, you would stick to cybersecurity companies. But say if you want to like just build products for cybersecurity, then that is of course cybersecurity companies. And then say for example you want to work on the security for the products, right?
Mm.
So Facebook has this product called Instagram. If you want to focus on just like security for Instagram, then you would want to work on Facebook. So if you want to
Mm.
do like product security, you would probably be in one of those FANG or top tech companies. But if
Mm.
you want to like build products for security, then you do join the cybersecurity companies.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And I was just talking to someone from DocuSign, and
Mhm.
yeah, like they just wanted to do security for a product versus build a cybersecurity product.
Correct.
So now that makes sense. And I was also talking to an engineer. He was a software engineer at CrowdStrike. Obviously, nobody knew CrowdStrike, and now everyone knows. And so I don't know if people still wants to work there or not,
Yeah.
uh, but he was. I met him when the incident was going on in the Bay Area,
Mhm.
and yeah, they were saying like,
Nice small talk.
yeah, yeah, you are right. We were all in the line of getting the food, and we were just chatting. And then I said, like, which company do you work for? And it's like, I prefer not to say. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, why? And he's like, the one which is causing the problem. And I was like, oh, CrowdStrike. And I was like, you're not supposed to say that out loud. So it was
Yeah.
funny. It was funny. Um, okay, cool. And so, how do you prepare for interviews? Are there tools? Are there resources for interview preps, or is it pretty much just know the basics and you'll be fine?
So I must say, cybersecurity resources are relatively less compared to software-focused folks because I think it's relatively easy to find or job interview resources for software development, but not so much for cybersecurity. So, like you said, you would want to focus on the basics and you would want to really understand, really be prepared for whatever is there in your resume already, and you'd also want to come up with some projects. So, say for example, if you have worked on some project, that gives confidence to the person who's interviewing you that you actually understand what you're trying to say, and
What's a
it
typical project for cybersecurity?
So again, it would change. It would vary based on the domains which you want to focus on. But I think we can go into like detail of one project for each of these different domains. So if you're doing like attacking, so attacking you would build like your own home lab. You build like a whole network stack within like your own computer, which is not difficult. Say you have like five VMs running 250 megabit of RAM, and you connect all of them with the network, and you try to like run different services on these network, and then you try to attack them, right? That's as simple as that. And then
Mm.
you do, if you want to focus on the blue teaming jobs, you would do the same thing, but you would try to protect it from those attacks. And
Mm.
then if you want to do something like research and development, research and investigation, that might change quite a bit. You might want to build like a project for which can aggregate all of the threat intel, or which can take the threat intel and make do some action based on threat intel. You can do one project like that, or you can do something like malware research, where you're taking a malware, putting it into a VM, and sandboxing it to see how it's reacting and how you can try to stop the spread of malware. You can do something like that. Then you can also do like vulnerability assessment. So basically, you're given like a vulnerable system. How do you assess what are the vulnerabilities? How do you catalog them? How do you maintain them? And how do you generate reports out of them? There are of
Mm.
course tools to help you with that, but a project can be something like that. And then you have like engineering and development, where, say for example, you're writing tools to detect certain types of attacks, or you're writing tools to make like automation possible. A huge part of cybersecurity is automation. So in engineering and development, you can show your automation skills. In the DevOps side of things, you can show like how you're developing like role based access control, or you're developing like
Mm.
identity access control, something like that. And then you
Mm.
have like GRC folks. GRC folks is actually quite interesting. So what I've seen my friends do in going into GRC is they take a product and they try to make it compliant to another like a standard, like an ISO standard, or using
Mm.
the MITRE framework, and they will come up with like a report of what is missing. And that's a good way for GRC folks to do their project.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, this is very helpful. Like, this is helpful to see that there, like, you can build the skills and portfolio doing these projects. Yeah.
Yes, and the most important thing with cybersecurity is, again, it seems fancy, it seems difficult to approach, but it's really not.
Mm.
Say if you wanted to build like a very advanced AI algorithm which does intrusion detection or does like intrusion protection, you could do that. There are data sets online, and you have like a computer, and you have like multiple VMs, 3 or 4 VMs, and then you can do it. It's
Mm.
nothing too fancy, nothing too complicated, which you cannot approach.
Nice. Okay, great. What about the interview process? What is the typical interview process for cybersecurity engineers?
So, many would assume that there is no software or a DSA round or algorithms round within security, but sadly there is. So initially you
Even
will
for
have an
GRC
OA.
folks?
No, for GRC you would not have that,
Okay.
but for most of the like software roles or most of the security roles, you would have OA round. At
Mm.
least for the top tech companies, like let's just say like Fortune 50 companies, you would definitely have like an OA round.
Yeah, and for people
So
who don't know, OA is online assessment, right? Like, so
online
you get
assessment, yes.
like here's an assessment, like go do a code and then submit it by this time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in cybersecurity, OAs are in two different formats. So one can be the standard, which is usual stuff like this is your problem. You write the code for it and validate the code based on constraints and submit it, right? That's one thing. But and also what I have experienced is a security round. So HackerRank and all of these other websites actually do provide a security round where you can where they have certain criterias and where you have like certain tasks which you need to complete
Mhm.
to show that you know all of this. And in certain cases, like I have interviewed with CrowdStrike for the initial rounds, and they asked me to actually penetrate a whole system. And there's another company called Security Innovations, which they give you a website. Their interview process is just that website. In that website, you're able to figure out like 20 flags or 20 values, and that's the interview process. And if you're able to go through that, that's the whole interview process. There's nothing else remaining.
Mm.
And then, yeah, so those are the two different kinds of OAs happening in cybersecurity. but that's just, of course, the first phase. You would have like the leadership round and the behavior round, that which is of course standard in any technical role. But there might be a lot of system design questions. There might also be like a lot of
Film
situational
designer as
questions.
well. Okay, interesting.
Yes.
Hmm.
So in security, you're expected to know absolutely everything about a certain software or a certain technology. It's not required, but the more information you have, the more experience you have with it, the
Hmm.
better it is. So if you're building a software security product, right, you would want to know operating systems, you would want to know networking, and you would want to know like cloud communication systems, all of that. So that's why a lot of system design questions are also being asked.
Okay. Interesting. So typical 3 to 4 rounds, maybe max 5 rounds for big
Yeah.
companies, and then that's pretty much it. Okay. Do cybersecurity engineers make money? I mean, it's a rhetorical question, but how much
Yeah.
money do they make? I guess.
Uh, Cybersecurity actually is quite, the range is quite vast, I would say. An entry level position would, or a level one or a level two engineer would make anywhere between like $70,000 to anywhere to like 180K,
Hmm.
even at an entry level, depending on the company, depending on like the location and everything. Of course, if you're doing product security, you would probably get paid more than if you would be doing like corporate security. Corporate security is like security for the organization itself. And
Yeah,
then if you are
and
doing like,
compliance people, I think, is tend to be usually 80 to 100 के बीच में.
not really, compliance are
Oh,
actually
really?
paid higher than engineers in certain cases. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
So compliance,
लोग तो काम
compliance
भी
are
नहीं
actually,
करते वो लोग.
yeah. Try
But
telling that to your next auditor.
no, I'm not gonna do that. But like they do get paid higher. That is interesting. I did not know that.
I wouldn't say higher, but definitely not lower.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would say one like side point is, I think it's easier to, if your goal in life is just to climb the career ladder, it's faster to do it in the GRC space and the leadership space than it is in the engineering space, I would say.
Hmm. In terms of money wise or in terms of position wise?
Both.
Both. Acha.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Interesting. And so, but what about someone who has 4 or 5 years of experience? Does the salary, like, in some cases, in my cases, like product managers, even if I have 8 years of experience, I think it's gonna be rare for me to get like $500,000. But I've heard that there are cybersecurity. If you have 8 years of experience, you can make 500K above, and that to base. And I was like, what? That is crazy.
Yeah, that's true. If you have experience, that really does value you in cybersecurity. There's a
Mm,
very specific reason to why it is, though. Why it is like this. So cybersecurity itself is not that new. The people did not, or companies did not start focusing on cybersecurity or start taking them seriously for more than a decade. So say, for example, if you have someone who's working in the cybersecurity domain for more than a decade, that person's thinking about security even before security was a cool thing, right?
mm,
So I would definitely would not get paid at the same level of the people who are getting paid right now, because those guys are like, the leaders. Those guys are the pioneers in the security space. They are probably building the policies and the frameworks and these major fancy tools. They saw all of these tools being developed while they were actually developing themselves.
mm,
So they are getting, you see the high ranges. It's because of this.
mm,
And then of course, if you add like a specialization, like a thing on top of it, then there's no limitation on your salary. So I just met someone who is doing ICS technology, ICS security, or OT security, operation technology. Those are the systems, like I said, which is running like the SCADA systems, which is running like power plants, which is running like Disney parks and all of that. So those guys make the most amount of money in cybersecurity because their scope of technology, or the scope of work, is so rare, and the resources available are so little that
mm,
you need to know not just the normal security aspects, but also the hardware, but also the industrial communication systems, everything.
mm.
So those
Okay.
guys are the most highly paid in cybersecurity.
So 500K is not something like not heard
Yeah,
of. Like it is very
it's
common.
common. It's common. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That is amazing. That is amazing. Hopefully, this inspires people to get into cybersecurity. Okay. I think this was it. I feel like we have covered all the grounds. We're going to put all the links and things into the description. I'll put your LinkedIn as well. Any final tip for aspiring cybersecurity people?
I have, in terms of hard skills, we have spoken already. But I think another very, very, very important tip for everyone starting off in cybersecurity is the soft skills which are needed.
Hmm.
Which I have these like four C's in cybersecurity, which is extremely important, which is communication, the curious mindset, then you have critical thinking, and then you have the last thing is constant learning.
Hmm.
So why I put constant learning at the end is because that, in my opinion, is the most important aspect in cybersecurity. Say if you want to like keep climbing the ladder and if you want to keep improving your career, there is no other way out other than constantly learning new technologies.
Hmm.
Cybersecurity is like the doctor which who needs to constantly learn and constantly improve themselves.
Hmm. Amazing. I love it. Again, thank you so much. This feels like a masterclass. Hopefully, people learned a lot. I can't wait to bring you back and talk about other fun stuff. But until our next turn.
Keep smiling and keep hustling.